used to build the infrastructure, and for sure, a lot of technologies used to build the wallet. I'm going to talk about infrastructure and how it was possible to make this network and which tools we used for it. So for you guys who are hacking, I'd like to say that we have 5,000 USD worth of DAI for the top 10 dApps deployed on POA network or xDAI, plus one special prize for the best zero-knowledge solution for POA or xDAI. So criteria is very easy. You have to deploy an Ethereum dApp on one of these networks, or contribute to one of POA products like Block Scout, which is open source blockchain explorer, or Token Bridge, which is our interoperability solution, or to Burner Wallet by Austin Griffith. So quite easy, right? Just deploy an app, and you can participate in our bounty. So if less than 10 dApps will be deployed, then these dApps will get more share of this stake. OK, so what do you need for hacking? You can use our blockchain explorer, which is full-featured blockchain explorer for POA or xDAI. And today, our friends from Bloxy started an instance of Bloxy Analytics for xDAI. So it's also cool to use. You can use Faucet to get free coins on our testnet. And we have multiple links with resources. All of them are located on POA forum. So you go to forum.poa.network, and you can see everything you need to deploy your dApp on POA or xDAI, right? RPC endpoint, web services endpoint, full archive node if you need, spec files if you would like to run your node, all other stuff. So today, it's all about xDAI. xDAI is a first ever USD stable sidechain with DAI as a native token, right? So it started as a project, as a hack project on ETH Berlin. And today we have it live, and it's used for payments. So that's kind of cool, right? What's different within xDAI from technological perspective? Some words can be new, and I will explain them later. So xDAI itself is a sidechain of Ethereum 1.0. So it's a new network based on existing protocol, but with different security model, different economic model, and different state. The idea of this network is that there is a validator set, like some authorities, who can modify this list of authorities using on-chain governance, right? This is a consensus algorithm of this network, and this consensus made it possible to make it cheap, scalable, fast, efficient. So the native token on this sidechain is xDAI. What is xDAI? It's bridged token, so token which is locked on Ethereum side and minted on the xDAI chain side. So this process is known as hard spoon, when emission of one token is spread across multiple networks. I think xDAI is one of the first hard spoon in production. And the great thing about this type of hard spoon that the token is stable, right? So one DAI is always equals to one xDAI. When you lock one DAI on the Ethereum side, you will get one xDAI on xDAI side. When you want to get back, exit from the sidechain, you burn your xDAI, and the network will unlock one DAI for you. To make it possible, the mechanism called block reward, which is usually responsible for emission of a network, is hooked to Token Bridge, which is our interoperability solution between mainnet and Ethereum. So consensus of xDAI chain started without pre-mine, so it started with 0 tokens, and also it started with a 0 emission curve. It means that inflation in this network equals 0, right? So like each block, a new block which is created without block reward, and it will be from the beginning till the, let's say, end of this network. In most chains, there is some form of block reward and emission curve, but in xdai chain, emission curve is empty. It's, we think that xdai chain is irresistible to use. I read this term in the marketing book, but I like it very much because when you try it and you can see that you can have a familiar platform with stable user balances, with stable usage fees, that brings so many opportunities, especially with real-world applications, right? People who receive their xdai today will have the same amount of xdai tomorrow if they don't spend them, right? And the good thing about using of DAI is that there is a massive available liquidity of DAI on Ethereum mainnet. So one can take this DAI and bring it to xdai and increase market cap of xdai. Now market cap of xdai is $8,000, which is one of the smallest blockchain in public space, right? But we can see that it's used and can be used for scalable real-world applications. So it's fast, and most blocks are with empty capacity. Before, we used the word empty, but I think empty is not a good word, because when you think empty, like no one's using it. Here it's a bit different. When you have empty capacity, it means that network is ready to accept your transactions. And execution is very inexpensive. It's possible to make it's free at all and replace with a different model, like transaction fees on exit from the bridge. But this small gas fee is good to have possible mitigation of denial of service attacks. Also interesting about this small but real and public network is that it's a self-governed DAO. It's not a network created by POA. It's not a network owned by POA. It's a network owned by DAO. This DAO is an exclusive form of DAO. Not anyone can participate. But people who are in DAO can invite new members to this organization. And each of them has equal right to invite new members to the DAO. So some stats. I don't know. Well, Ethereum, I'd say that xdai chain is not ideal yet, right? Because from our perspective, it's decentralized, but it's what we call minimum viable decentralization. So it's decentralized enough to comply with regulation and enable on-chain governance and this form of DAO, but it's not as decentralized as some other chains. The very important thing that when you think about volatility of platform usage, in Ethereum, you have volatile token price and volatile gas price. In POA Core, our first sidechain, we made native token platform execution stable, so it costs gas price is stable and can be changed by on-chain governance, but validators, not increasing it for like a year and 3 months. So it's like good stable gas price looking back. But in xdai chain, the native token price is also stable. So if you design your, let's say, game with some economic parameters, it will be stable and you can plan ahead platform usage. This is not from marketing book, but I'd like to add that it's irresistible to scale. If one would like to scale the system, it's scalable both vertically and horizontally. So vertical scalability is interesting, and I think it's underrated in our ecosystem. There are some public chains with 100 million gas per block, and they exist for, let's say, for a year. And it means that we can simply upgrade we as validators can simply upgrade and tune parameters of this network. And if we see more usage, then likely validators will upgrade this protocol. And when you have, let's say, 4 validators or 10 validators, and they are responsible for the small dApp chain, it's more likely that they will agree on upgrading parameters of this chain to bring more users. So second type of scalability is horizontal scalability. That's what we sometimes is called like as sharding, right? It's relatively easy to launch xdai chain for DAI token or for another token. And at least 2 projects already launched same type of environment, but with different ERC20 token, which act as a native token. And when I think about this, I like the idea of World of Warcraft realms. When World of Warcraft started, you had to select on which shard you're going to play. And if you, let's say, unlucky enough to be on a shard with where most players are from a different language group, it was kind of a problem, right? And also, it was not possible to migrate from shard to shard. But later on, World of Warcraft created this system where you can transfer your character, basically a non-fungible token, from realm to realm. And now, if you open their website with status of the game, you can see that there are so many shards available with different settings. You can play against other people. You can play against like PvP or PvE. Like it's much more capacity than players, right? So World of Warcraft is ready to accept more players and ready to accept these players immediately. But back in days, it was different. So what they changed, they added more shards. They made the shards specific to what player need. And they need to have different language groups. They want to have some different play game rules, like PvP or PvE. And they added more shards. And it's enough, right? So right now, they don't need more shards. And this is working. And this is a good example how dApp chains can scale horizontally. So now I will show you some underlying technologies for xdai. So let's start from governance, because it's the most important part of our consensus. The main question people asked when we launched xdai: who are validators? So this information is available using a dApp or acquiring smart contracts, and this information available from the chain. So there is no database between this dApp and the public RPC. So all information from public RPC. You can see that at xdai there are 4 validators: Giveth, POA, MakerDAO, and Protofire. And it's possible to add more validators. Each validator on this network can propose a new validator, and the majority of validators are required to onboard new validator or remove validator from the network. We can see some past governance decision, how validators voted for governance decisions. So the last one was a change of implementation of reward by block contract. We proposed it to mitigate one bug in parity implementation, which was possible to solve using different implementation of smart contract. Validators voted for it, and this implementation can be automatically enforced on-chain. So it's enforceable on-chain governance managed by independent validators. Right? Here you can see that first of all, they agreed to deploy new proxy storage contract. And before, they removed some extra validators that left from initial ceremony of this network. And all governance decisions are available on-chain, and anyone can independently cross-validate who voted for these governance decisions, who initiated them, and get all stats about this governance. When we attend some conferences and we hear about on-chain governance, sometimes people talking about this enforceable on-chain governance. Here we have this enforceable on-chain governance for the second year, and it works well. And if we switch from xdai to another network, to POA core, where we have much more validators, 22, I think, we can see that there are ballots with, 16 votes, 4 out of 22 validators. So governance mechanism not only working, but it working well on scale. So when we have more validators, the governance process is also working scalably, right? So third part of governance is actually proposal of new validators, and for this, I have to have a special key, what we call voting key, and any validator can propose a ballot to, for example, add new validator, remove existing validator, or swap key of validator. And in this governance app, you can see current thresholds. For example, to add new validators to xdai, 3 validators should vote for, and there are some thresholds to prevent this governance mechanism from abuse of, let's say, malicious validators, right? Which is also possible. So this model is working for POA core, but also working for xdai. It's scalable. You take it, deploy on your sidechain, and you get the same security model as POA and xdai have. And when we think about proof of work networks or proof of stake networks, it's relatively hard to copy security model to new instances of chains, right? If proof of work, then if we want to copy security model to proof of work system, we have to deploy new mining hardware, and it's a scarce resource and very expensive. With proof of stake, we need to get initial valuation of the stake somewhere, and with this type of consensus, this model can be scalable to many shards. So second part of the xdai model, which and it's a part of our development tools, is token bridge. It's an interoperability solution for tokens on Ethereum network. It works in different modes, and for xdai, there is a mode where tokens can be locked and unlocked on Ethereum side, and new tokens can be minted on xdai chain side, and these tokens are connected to consensus of the sidechain. But this bridge can be used to bridge ERC20 to ERC20. For example, one can take DAI on Ethereum side and mint representation of this DAI on, let's say, Ethereum Classic side, right? It's possible right now. And this bridge is in production since May 2018, and that bridged tens of millions of tokens cross-chain. And let's check stats for implementation for DAI bridge. So for DAI bridge, this stats is generated from public RPC. We can see that totally minted by bridge is something that is a market cap of xdai. So market cap is 8,000 DAI. But people bridged back and forth 40,000 DAI. So they deposited, returned back. So that's the economy of this bridge since the beginning. And we can see that almost 500 users used this dApp to bridge tokens back and forth. And it's quite interesting. So these users are the same users on both sides, because our bridge supports only self-transfers. Self-transfers means that users can send funds only to themselves. And this allows to make a bridge which can be considered as, let's say, decentralized bridge. And it is not required to have money service business license to send tokens between networks for users. Likely doesn't require. I'm not a lawyer, right? But we have legal opinion on this topic. This bridge works in production. You can see that if I want to convert some xdai to dai, I can send, let's say, 10 xdai. When I press transfer, my xdai is burned, and an event is emitted on the xdai chain side, and 3 or 4 validators of this bridge observe this event, and after they see the same event after a threshold of blocks, which is 8 for this network. And this threshold is required to make sure that the network is final and that not reworked or forked. And after 8 confirmations, validators will relay this event from xdai to Ethereum mainnet, and they will unlock 10 DAI for my account. You can do the same in Burner wallet or Buffy DAI wallet, and it's even easier on Burner wallet because you can make it on the go with your phone and without having MetaMask installed. So it's quite easy to use. Okay, let's see. So now it's a slow part because now we need to submit transaction to mainnet, and mainnet not always have free capacity, and sometimes our transaction is waiting for to be included in the block. Okay. Verifying transaction. So as I said, the bridge it's a quite complex solution. It consists of 5 different parts, and there are smart contracts on both sides of the bridge. There is an Oracle service, and this Oracle service replicated for all validators. There is a UI applications which we just used for to transfer tokens. There is a bridge monitor when we can see and put on monitoring that balances of validators are not empty, and also that there is no differences in locked DAI and printed xDAI. So this is good for audits, and I can show you that. Okay. Yeah, this information is you can see in the bridge UI. You can see number of validators and number of required signatures. So to relay transaction from xDAI to Ethereum, 3 signatures from 4 validators are required to relay this event. And you can think about this as a 3 or 4 multisig, which is quite secure if validators are independent from each other, and if they host on their own hardware, and yeah, they use this software as it's designed. Okay, so let's see if we got our. No, we're still waiting for mainnet. Okay, the third part, which is important to make sidechains usable, is an open source blockchain explorer. We have an open source blockchain explorer called BlockScout. It's a fully featured explorer, friendly to testnets, private networks, sidechains, open source and free, funded by us, sponsored by Ethereum Foundation and Gitcoin bounties. We built it because Etherscan was not available to testnets, and it was kind of hard to add new functionality. For example, on xDAI, you can see that there are validators, right? And on Explorer, we might like to see who created blocks, like here, right? Like POA network created blocks, Gwt created blocks, Protofire, and on Etherscan, let's say if Etherscan will host xDAI, there is no way for us to propose these changes and implement them, right? Because it's not open source. Let's see, by the way. Yeah, you can see the problem on Goerli testnet, which is a new Ethereum testnet. On either scan, all validators like, 0, right? And how to put names here. Let's go to Black Scout and switch to Goerli. And here we can see that consensus is validator, POA, parity, Prism Labs. So you know who created your block, right? And yeah, that's the beauty of open source software, right? Yeah, like it supports all features we need to develop applications. And when you think about sidechains, if you deploy a new sidechain and you don't have a explorer for it, like full-featured explorer, it's kind of hard to develop applications, right? So that's three things which made xdai possible. First thing is fast and efficient consensus with a scalable model. Second part is interoperability protocol, which allowed us to experiment with a new type of emission and a new type of creation of supply. And third part is developing tools. That's what made possible from our side, right? And also, it's great that community liked this idea and built burner vault on top of it and made this thing with electronic peer-to-peer cash system, which we use today, a real thing, right? Still very fine. Okay. Today, blockc.info also indexed this xdai chain, and they have interesting analytics. So if you deploy an app, you can get you can see who is the biggest token holder of Buffy-DAI, total supply, and all this data. Okay, it's time to ask questions. Questions. What? How many transactions were done today? Where is it? I think it's transfer with data. That's what they used because when you purchase meal, you put like meal in a message. So that's I think like 940 purchases of meal during the lunch, which is great, right? And what I like about sidechains and xdai especially, that when you look into market cap and total transactions and number of wallets, you can see how this economy, like a real economy, is working, right? It's not something like pumped on open market, like with some chains, where you can see tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, but no real usage, right? Here you can see people breached 8,000 xdai and created 36,000 transactions, and you can make sense about these transactions by using analytics like blockc. This is a great example of application-specific sidechain. Like this sidechain is designed for payments, right? Programmable money, and different sidechains can be designed for different use cases. So, your question?
Yeah. So about Blockscout, it's gone forward quite a lot. I noticed that the features have now like the contract verification. Can you actually look into like some content in there? And another question, like, is the Blockscout, like, if I clone the repo, is it so that I could say, run some Ganache instance and have this thing index that and browse around? Kind of, is it so lightweight that I could try looking into what's happening in
If you would like to run Blockscout on your laptop,
yeah,
It's totally feasible.
Yeah.
But don't index mainnet, because it will take 3 terabytes of block scout data plus 2 terabytes of parity data. So it's
Yeah,
like
no, I was more thinking like if I run like whatever dev setup on like Ganache, like some
Yeah.
local instance, it's often kind of hard to look into what's actually going on in there. So this would be great. Have you tried like running a block scout on like local Ganache instance?
yeah, that's yeah.
Okay.
It's possible to run.
Is there like a tutorial on that or? Oh yeah, whatever. I'll
Yeah,
just try it out.
Yeah, you can try it out. It doesn't support all RPC as parity client, especially some problems with traces, as far as I remember, with Ganache. Yeah, but yeah, you definitely can run it. But yeah, maybe better to run local parity node, and as it's the same. Yeah, last question. No questions? So no, yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Um, any questions? So it's 1 xdai. Who wants to take it? Yeah, just first guy will get it. Anyone? Free money. Free, yeah. Did anyone get it? No? It's 1 xdai. Next will be 5. Okay. Did you get it? No? Yeah, I think it's a link encoded here, so you need to open it. No? Okay, yeah. Yeah, someone took it. Okay. Yeah. 5. Okay. Did anyone get it? Okay. Last one. Last one. Last one. Okay, 1 second, 1 second. 10x die. It's a battle royale. Okay, guys, 10x die. Did anyone get it? Yeah, people don't want to, No? Claim it. Yeah, okay, guys. Yeah, someone was faster. Yeah, someone was faster. Okay. Yeah, thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed.